everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Grief and Giggles. Today we have a special guest. She goes by the name of Elesia Acosta. She is a daughter, sister, friend, mentor, stylista. She's the youngest of 7 siblings, and she hails from Trinidad. Many of you may not know her, but she is a friend to us personally and a friend to the show. Please welcome Elesia Acosta.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elesia. So tell us about how your journey with grief began.
Well, my journey with grief began losing both parents, my mom, my dad, 2 sisters, my nephew. And it just puts a different perspective on life when you lose someone that's so close and dear to you. I won't say nothing else in life matters, but it just that's how my journey began, and I learned more about grief and coping.
Okay. When you said your mom passed first, after like she passed, like what was going through your mind with that initial loss?
It's like, oh my God, how do I navigate life without this person? This is like the head, like, you call for everything and you're not going to hear that person's voice anymore. So it was definitely an adjustment. And my sisters and I, me being the youngest, we divided up her jewelry, and I'm like, okay, I have her wedding band, so it's like not certain things I have that, you feel very close and connected, but I had to adjust in the sense of, my emotions. That's a big part of it. Some days you're happy, some days you're sad, some days you're thinking, some days you're crying, and it comes anywhere. It comes and goes. But you have to still remember and be intentional that, you know what, you have a life and you have to continue on.
Amen.
When you, like after the funeral and everything kind of like settled down, like after your mom passed first, how was it for you going back to your daily routine or like going back to work?
It was just something in my mind. I knew, of course, life has to continue on. Like I said before, like some days happy, some days sad. But I knew for a fact that this is something that's what's going to happen in life. No matter what, we all have to leave at some point. So, I just had to adjust and just be mindful of my emotions, dealing with coworkers and dealing with my siblings, dealing with life in general. I just had to be mindful, because some days, like, you could be moody. The moodiness comes on, but you can't take that out on everybody else. This is something that you have to deal with. I have to deal with it.
Absolutely. Do you feel like the daily routine that you had, do you feel like it changed with each loss that you've experienced?
Not really, because I think grief is something that you don't plan for it. So it's like, no, not really. Not really, because in losing like my mom, my dad, my sister, my nephew, I don't think so, because of course everyone brought something different to your life, and there are different parts that you're going to miss, like talking to your dad about certain things. You're going to miss about your mom talking to you certain things, but the bottom line is they're not here, so you can't have those conversations.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but you always, I think for me, although I know I can't speak to mom and dad and call them or whatever, I always, if I'm making a decision in life, a life decision or whatever, I always consider what they would say or their, advice. So, they're always with you. Their influence is with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, another thing, it's like I have a keepsake, well, not box, but drawer. Eventually I have to put it in. Like, there are cards and stuff you always
Right.
read. Like, and it's funny because you get cards from both parents. Then one is deceased, then you get cards from that single one. Now you get none.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's interesting that you mentioned the cards because like sometimes Tasha and I like for the holidays, like speaking of like traditions or whatever, like Tasha and I started taking holiday cards that mom and dad got us, and we started adding them to the Christmas tree as like decoration. Or like for me, I don't know if Tasha does it, but sometimes like if my birthday comes up, I'll put my birthday cards out that like mom and dad bought me, just as a way to kind of like celebrate
With them.
Right.
hmm
I have a question, Nick. I know you're asking the question, but I have a question
Yeah.
since you're doing that. Does that tradition make you sad in putting it out does it bring a sad memory or feeling over you? Because it's something that I don't know if you do it annually or something, that does that make you sad and bring back memories? Like Christmas is supposed to be joyous, birthday, you're supposed to be happy and celebrating. But does it dampen your spirit?
No, for me it doesn't dampen my spirit. It's just it's my way of honoring them, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
for example, like I have a friend whose husband, his mom passed almost like maybe like 15 years ago, but like they have like no pictures of her in the house, like he didn't even like speak of her, right? And so
Wow.
my friend kind of like struggled with that because she was like, I kind of feel like you're erasing your mom. Like, like I want our kids to know who their mom is or whatever. And so to my surprise, I actually saw him post a video of his mom the last couple of days, and I was taken aback, but I was actually really proud of him because it was just like I got to see that intimate side of him that he shared with everybody, on social media. And so it was good to see that because I think he may be in a place where he's ready to like, maybe pull out a picture or pull out a
Right.
video or whatever. And so for me, like it's a way of honoring them. And so no, I don't, for me, it doesn't damper.
Right. Because I know for me, even though I have I don't I know people on the anniversaries and I know you all share I don't and I don't do it. And it's not to say that I don't honor, or I guess everybody show their emotions differently. Like
Right.
there are things that I would do at home, like I would go through cards and pictures and and share that in my personal space. But to there's I see people put like you videos and in honor of and memory, and then when you go through the comments, and I think what gets me because I don't post it is the comments sometimes, and I'm like, I feel like it's reliving it, and that's why I don't post.
I think posting kind of allows people to remember, so that they don't forget who they are and who they were.
Right.
And although yes, they're our parents, but other people have relationships with them as
Right.
well. So
Right.
it keeps their memory alive, and you can laugh about a memory. You can, you can share, memory with them that was, funny, or, just a memory that you have of them that, I think is great. I know we talked about, when you bought your car, that you have now. My dad wanted to see your car. You bought it by the house, and dad was all excited to see it. And, it's like an old wives' tale or tradition or whatever, where they throw change in the car for protection and luck. And Elesia still has the change from when my dad threw the change in the car when she got her car. He was checking out her car, making sure everything was good. But he also wanted to bless her as well. And Elesia always shares, like, whenever she goes to the car wash, she takes the coins off the floor and she puts them in a cup. And then after she gets her car detailed, she puts the coins back on the floor. So I just think that's like a great memory about dad, that you have.
Right.
That
Exactly.
you experience. So
yeah. And just as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about the movie Coco. ironically, the Day of the Dead that, the Mexicans celebrate on November the 1st and the 2nd, I think. But the movie Coco is actually about like how people honor, their loved ones that have passed on. And so those that were forgotten, you started to see them disappear, which was kind of interesting. And so, just seeing that movie, like after mom passed, for me, it was just kind of like, I want to, continue to remember her. I don't want to like forget who she is,
Right.
And so
Right.
I think for some people, like posting on their birthday or their anniversary, that's their way of sharing, not just with themselves, but with other people. Like Tasha mentioned, some people have their own memories or their own stories. Sometimes people share stories with us, about mom and dad that we didn't know. And those
Right.
are things that I enjoy,
Right.
Yeah.
Also, too, when people post, sometimes, they're celebrating their loved one, but they may not be having a good day. But it's a way to say, hey, check in on me. I may be struggling today because it is their birthday, or because it is the anniversary. Nicole and I always try to do something special, specifically around the holidays, because we already know how the blues can be for the holidays.
Right.
So, and you may feel it. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the actual holiday. It could be around. Like, I know for me, sometimes I can just, it's like in the back of your mind, like, their birthday is coming up, or Father's Day is Mother's Day is coming up. It's like, oh, here we go. And so like days before, you start to kind of act differently, or I know I have, and it's like, well, what's wrong with me? And I'm like, oh, because Mother's Day is coming up, or Father's Day is coming up, and it's like, okay, I'm about to like go absent and go, for a moment. And so the holiday is over. I remember like the first Mother's Day and Father's Day, and it was like the next day after, and I was like, whew, yes, honey, survived that. But I was underground. Don't text me, don't call me, don't nothing. I didn't even want to go on social media. I was like, nope. So I get it.
Yeah. Yep. So like, even like with like your daily routine, right? Like getting back to the grind of things, right? Like, did you have like some sort of feelings towards like other people because they just kept on like living life, doing their regular routine?
Absolutely not, because you know what? That's not their journey. It wasn't their journey. So I have to respect, like, it was never like, okay, that's, you don't feel what I feel. Like I'm in this grief space. So, and sometimes somebody may say something funny, or they may be continuing their, they may be going through their daily routine, and that would have helped me, like, oh, okay, so no, absolutely not. I didn't feel anything towards anyone else because it's not their story.
Do you feel like with each time that you return back to like with each loss, like, do you feel like each time you went back to work or went back to your daily routine that it felt different or you did something different?
Because everybody was different. Like I think I said it before, everybody was different because with your mom and your dad and my nephew, my sisters, everybody they held a different place.
Right.
So there are certain things that I couldn't reach out to my sister for, couldn't reach out to my dad for, couldn't reach out, couldn't tell my nephew hello. So it was different every time. But I figured it out, and here I am.
So that leads into my next question. So, coming from a large family and you being the youngest, after the loss of both your mom and your dad, how did you navigate relationships? Obviously, you're closer to some than you are to others, right? And of course, even though you grew up in the same household together, everybody reacts differently to grief when it comes to loss of your parents, especially. So, can you kind of touch on that experience for you?
Well, like everyone else has their own individual families. So they dealt with it differently than I did.
Right.
They minds could be sometimes I just want to be left alone, like you had said before. Like I can cry alone, I can deal with my emotions alone. Just give me a day and I'll be fine the next day. But they dealt with it. I mean, we dealt with it together as like brothers and sisters, like together as a unit. But with their individual families, you know, it was different because
Right.
they had that to lean on.
Right.
Of course, we had each other.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Of course,
But then
you
you
know?
also find that you had to kind of create your own village as well, you know, or have, you know, lean on your village that you already have.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Tosh, there was a question you had asked Elesia earlier about like how has loss impacted her passion?
Yeah,
Do you
so
remember?
I had mentioned that Elesia is a stylist to the stars. So you know, after grief, he talked about like how sometimes you like you said, you don't really want to do anything, you just kind of shut down. How has your passions and things that you love, like mentoring, fashion, how has that helped you to kind of get back to who you are, and help you throughout your grief process?
But you know what? During that time of like I was doing all those things, and it just for a moment it halted for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to realize, you know what? I had to get back to Elesia, because like they're in a better place.
Right.
You know, they're at peace. So I had to live in my truth, in my peace, and
Right.
continue on doing the things that I'm passionate about and that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I find that, you have to, people are relying on you, but you also have to rely on yourself too, to
Absolutely.
kind of, get back to you. Look in the mirror, because you the ones that you see the first thing in the morning and the last thing before you go to bed. So you have to, rely on yourself to say, hey, yeah, maybe I'm not doing too good today, or maybe I need to do this differently, or maybe I need to, you know,
Right.
get back to me. So yeah.
Do you
Oh, I
think
definitely had those days, but you know, they came and they went, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a moment in time.
do you feel like loss has changed you as a person?
Yes, in the sense that um dealing with people, dealing with like little things that like co-workers, dealing just life in general. Like when you look at the bigger picture, when you have lost um people that are dear to you, when you have lost those things, some of the little things, it really, when you really think about it and you look at the bigger picture, it really does not matter. It really
Right,
doesn't
right,
matter at all, because I always say, you know what, if I lost my mom and my dad, and you know, and I dealt with that, the things, with whether it's friendships or relationships or co-workers or something I didn't get approved for, whatever it is, you know, I'm like, okay, you know what, God is going to see me through this, because you know what, there's a different way to deal with it. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Your
So
expectations are
funny.
different.
expectations,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You are right about that, because I find myself saying a lot now to things that are like stupid, that I'll just say to myself like I don't care enough. Right? Like, and not to make it sound like bad, but it's just like, okay, I have bigger fish to fry, like and I just don't care enough. Sorry.
Absolutely,
Um
you're right. You're absolutely right. That's so true. That's something my mother, like the old school people, would say. You know, listen, I got bigger fish to fry. Like if I can overcome this, then this,
Right,
in the grand scheme of things, this is really nothing that I can
right.
deal with it.
yeah. And that's the thing too. I think when you experience a close loss,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like um just certain things just don't they just don't matter to you, it's
I
just
think
like
that's also a way of self-care as well. It's kind of
mhm.
like creating boundaries in your mental space. Like I cannot subject myself to this drama, or, whatever. You know what I mean? Like your perspective is completely different. And so you don't allow yourself to get, first of all, I have about this much emotional space that I have, right? To deal with stuff in life, period. I don't need to add any more drama
Mm-hmm.
to life, right? So I think it's about, self-care and basically just knowing what your boundaries are. And again, knowing your expectations from people who are, who are around you, family included, friends, what you can expect for them so that you're not disappointed, and creating boundaries for yourself so that you can handle and be in a good mental space.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you also, besides the expectations, you have to be intentional about, you know what, am I going to deal with this or not?
Right.
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 Is this a okay text?
Yeah.
Right. Is it a like, love, or respond at all?
But yeah, just, self-care is important, especially like, when you're grieving. And so what do you do for yourself with self-care when you are having moments of, grief?
I just withdraw. I take a moment for myself. And if that can mean either not, like, kind of shut it down. I definitely I journal a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I journal. I go into that mode of like, you know what? Like I'm the one will all like you all know, I would always respond to a text message. Like I never go a day without responding to someone. And I feel bad. So that I'm learning to like not respond to people's text message, but that's something that I would, like besides journal, not responding, shutting it down, like just being away and home for the weekend. Just so that's my self-care.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I had mentioned earlier with me doing therapy all day and taking on other people's stuff and dealing with my own grief. Sometimes when I'm not at work, like, and people are texting or calling, I may just go silent. Like it's nothing against them. I just don't feel like talking in that moment. And then also too, I'm an introvert. So, sometimes I have my little Wednesday Addams moments. Whatever, Tasha. She got her little duck lips going.
But you know what? And I feel bad with the non-responses of text messages or checking in on the person or whatever, because I feel like, what if that person is going through something and my response could help them?
Right.
So I don't know. That's a hard one.
But you know what, too, Elesia? I've had moments where people have called me knowing I just got off of work. They don't ask what space am I in to receive what they have to tell me, and they just go in. Just and I'm just like, see, this is why I don't pick up the phone. Like,
and I've had those too all the time. I've had
but
those.
I also know too, I know my tribe of people, right?
Right.
And my tribe of people know, like, okay, if she's not responding, okay,
Right.
I'm gonna give her 24 hours. But if she doesn't respond, then I know something's up, But I get what you're saying, Elesia, like if they're texting if something is going on or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do better.
But I have to learn.
I'll do better. I'll do better. So how do you balance grief and everyday life that people think, because you hear people say like, oh, now you got to get back to normal life. Like, what is normal life after loss?
Well, you know what? Grief is a void that will always be there in my life. It will it always be there in my life and anyone's life who has experienced loss. So I think you just kind of categorize it, prioritize it, and you just move on with your daily life. You get up, you go to work, you celebrate, you socialize, but you know that grief is a part of something that that it's a part of that equation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And your loved one would want you to, move on and live life and,
Absolutely. So with the start of the holidays, Tasha's the Grinch. But
I'm not the Grinch. I just gotta warm up to the holidays.
And I try to make it festive for her. She can't stand it sometimes. But this year, the theme is the Grinch.
I'm all over it. And you know what's so funny? I saw this meme the other day and it said, the Grinch it's not that he didn't like Christmas. He didn't like people. And I was like, aha.
But that's not you because you like people.
Yes,
Right.
I like people. I people. Well, I do have a battery as well with the people. I'd be like, hold on a second. Because, like Nicole and like all of us, I mean, we have most of our jobs, we are, forward facing. We have to interact with people. And some days I just want to put on my headphones and work.
Yeah.
And then on the plane dealing with people,
Thank
not
God
a
for
right.
remote. Thank God for being working remote.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
I don't have to deal.
Yeah.
Not a remote option. Because I was like, listen, about to put these people on a drone, honey, and let them fly to where they need to go. Can't do it.
It's so funny because this past year I actually tried to go to work on Dad's death anniversary. And I could only do half of a day because the people them.
Yeah.
I said, oh no, girl, I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go. So I only did like a couple of hours. I tried, but now I know I won't be doing that again. So
Right.
And listen, I have the same feeling for my birthday. I do not work on my birthday. That is a rule that I have for myself.
Right.
It's my day. I don't want to be annoyed. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to do any of that. I don't care if everybody else is at work. My birthday's on a Tuesday. It's raining outside.
yes.
Whatever. I'm off.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be a celebratory day, honey. I do not work because I don't want anybody to, get on my nerves. You can do it the day after or the day before.
Yeah. So I know we got a little off track, but with the holidays coming up, Elesia, like what do you plan to do for yourself in regards to the holiday? And are there any new traditions that you want to do or any old traditions that your parents had that you want to like keep up?
I just keep the same traditions, and as you all know, I just like to make coquito. My mom used to make punch of cream, so my sisters they still do it, but I'm coquito. So yeah, I love it, and I'll start this year early around Thanksgiving, so you all can have it. So that's one tradition I always keep up with, and I will continue on.
Yes, Nicole loves that tradition.
I do.
Ah.
I do. I love my bottle of coquito.
You're not alone.
So, okay. So Elesia, what do you feel like you want to share with our audience in regards to grief?
Just continue living life. Grief as a void will always be there, but just remember the good times of your loved one. Sometimes, of course, you're going to remember the not so good times, but just continue to stay focused, stay prayed up always, because those scriptures help. God will never leave you nor forsake you, so you would just continue on life as your loved ones would have liked.
Absolutely. I agree. Gosh.
Well, I was just going to piggyback off of what Elesia was saying, because I feel like your loved ones would want you to, and I think that's the best way to honor them is to live your best life. Right. I always like think in the back of my mind, like when I leave this earth and I see my parents again, they'd be like, you did that. I'm like, thank you. Appreciate that. So I always have that in the back of my mind, like, okay, you did that. You lived a good life. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Thank you, Lord.
I think what's so funny now that you mentioned like when you see mom and dad again. For me, I think the first thing I probably would say to them would be like, "What was that? Like, you just decided to roll out? Like, what?"
That's the first thing that's gonna come to your mind. Like,
That's the
bro.
first thing that came to my mind. Like, what was that? Like, what?
I mean, I have moments where I say that, like, I mean, I know it's been some years for both mom and dad, but I feel like sometimes, your heart and your mind are two different spaces, and you're like, did that just happen? Like, I know they're gone, but like, did that happen? Like, like, wow, you're really not here. That's really wow. So yeah, I get
yeah.
I get that. So Elesia, thank you for sharing your grief journey, your grief experience with us.
Yeah.
And
Thank
thank you
you,
for joining
ladies.
us today on this episode and being so transparent.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure having you on. And we can't wait to celebrate the holidays together with some coquito.
Yes.
And we love you.
Love you guys. Love you,
Love you
All
ladies.
right.
too.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye, everybody.